So if we take $1.5 million out of the fund balance, that leaves us with $1.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well above the
That's correct.
statutory requirements from the state. So why do we need to go borrowing money if we're gonna do this? I believe in paying for my debts myself. So 2.9 minus 1.5 is 1.4. The state only says you must have an 8%. So we're now at 1.4 million. We paid for this library and we got 1.4 million. How does the government make money? Anybody know? What product do they sell? How do they get their money? They take it from you, the citizen, through taxes.
That's correct.
That's the only way they get money. So if you're doing that, hey, we got enough in the fund balance to pay for it. Let's go for it. Let's pay for it. Why do we need a bank? You know why? Because of some other hidden things. That's
Mhm.
why.
That's correct.
So let's pay for this $1.5 million library out of the fund balance. Now we're talking about going for the courthouse. Over here, we want to do some things, and we do need to do something. Well, as a historical site, and this was brought up, and I've mentioned this before, by 3 of these individuals that presented this the other day about historical tax credits. Now, there's 2 ways to do that, through selling them through corporations. Some of them have to be income producing, and it can also be non-income producing. If you change it to an income producing property, it can get a 40% tax credit, 20% federal, 20% state, discounted by the corporation that buys that debt, that tax credit, however. Now, if you do not change it to an income producing property, the state of North Carolina gives you a 30% tax credit that you can sell to a corporation, like International Paper, BB&T. People that are into this kind of stuff. Jackson County just did this, and if any of you would go look in our state magazine, and I'm sure you can go to the library and probably have this over there. Do you have this? And you go look at page 19, right here. A beautiful courthouse in Jackson County, North Carolina. It was actually refurbished this way, and you know what's in it? A library. So, why do we need to go borrow any money? We don't need to go borrow any yet. We don't need to go borrow any until we start working on this project.
So your recommendation is to take money out of fund balance and pay for the new library, is that
If
right?
that's what you want to, if you want to
No,
do
that's
a
your
library,
recommendation, is what I'm asking. Is that
that's
your
exactly right.
recommendation? All right, Kenny?
I like the 1.77%, but I also understand the flexibility. Henry mentioned the 15-year was 3.37, the 10-year was 2.39. And I can go with Henry on the 1.77. Just, our plans are to do it in 5 years, let's do it in 5 years. But I also understand that flexibility that might need to be there for something else. I don't know what that something else is. We've been paying $560-some thousand on the loan through the Board of Education, for these number of years, and we've always made our payments. So I don't see why we can't just turn those payments back into and pay the library off as planned. So I can do with what Jack said or what Henry said, 1.775 years.
Does anybody want to make a motion on this issue? So
Before we move on, before you make a motion, maybe you
Okay.
could let Cindy and I, at least I, speak. I understand the attractiveness of the 5-year, but again, I feel I need to caution you that you're going to potentially hamstring your flexibility if there are other events that occur. If 15 years is too long, in my opinion, 5 years is too short and requires too little flexibility, then I would recommend maybe the 10 years as a consideration. But I would recommend against the 5 years.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Most people when they have money, that are smart, use their money. This is an attractive rate, no question about it. If you're gonna do something, this is it. But what you do, you borrow money when you're in trouble. That's when you wanna go see the banker, is when you need some money. Any business, corporation, they don't go out doing this if they have the money. That's a fact. And I know I've managed lots of projects. I've spent a lot of International Paper's money. International Paper has deep pockets.
Mm-hmm. Real deep.
Gates County right now has $2.9 million fund balance. That's your money.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get fund balance? You get it from the citizens. If we spend this 1.5 and go to 1.4, well, we're gonna make a $562,000 payment. Now we're back to 1.9. Now we're gonna make another $500,000 payment, and we're at 2.4.
Mm-mm.
So does this make sense to you? If you got the money in your pocket, pay for it. Simple as that. If we get in trouble, then we go borrow money. We go to the bank and say, hey, I got a nice fancy library here. What will you lend me on that library?
Amen.
Okay, now everybody make a comment, do we have a motion on which, rate that we want to use?
I just have one more